So with us today is Zaynab Abdi. She's a refugee who fled both Yemen and Egypt, two different wars, to finally join her mother here in the United States as a refugee. Abdi says she knows firsthand how great America can be, and that Trump's slogan of "Make America Great Again" means something different to her than maybe it means to Donald Trump. Zaynab is an advocate for human rights and women's education, as well as a youth ambassador for Green Card Voices. She made national headlines after forming a soccer team for immigrants at her high school. Zaynab, welcome, and thank you for joining us here. So, Zaynab, your mom fled from Somalia. What happened? And then how did you and her wind up in Yemen? And then how did you end up splitting up?
So when my mom fled the war in Somalia, she came to Yemen, and all I knew that she just left to United States because of the lottery visa, which is like, it's a visa that you write your name, and if you get it, you get it, and if you didn't, then you don't. And most of these lottery visa are like, you sign up as a family, but not all your family get it. And that's one of the challenge that many people faced. And so my mom, she made it to United States, but I couldn't make it, or my sister, and we grew up with my grandmom.
So what? So tell me what it was like to grow up in Yemen and be separated from your mom and have your grandmother raise you. Tell me what it was like, what life was like in Yemen for you.
My life in Yemen was amazing. I grew up with my grandmom, and she gave me all the love that I needed. And she really take care of both of us, and she was the mom and the dad and the friend that we need. So we went to school there, and we were in the school there, and we grew up with our family there. Our neighborhood is like very simple like neighborhood, and everyone loved each other, and we all connected. So like, I love being there, and I really missed Yemen a lot.
But something bad happened in Yemen that forced you to leave. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, in 2011, the beginning of 2011, the revolution in Yemen started, and that made Yemen so horrible. And it was part of the Arab Spring, where many countries had their revolution against the government, and Yemen was part of one of those countries. So it started as simple protests. People wanted to change and wanted democracy and wanted like better education and better economic, but it ended up being a war where like the army and like the military started to shoot anyone going outside to protest, and then it started to be more and more complicated, and this kind of like thing started to make it more horrible. So and we had to flee when the war started to become more serious in Yemen.
What was your life? Tell me about the dangers that you felt living in Yemen that caused you to flee.
One of the most thing that made me really scared was when we were in the school, where there was like a lot of shooting was happening, and one of the teachers said that they found a bomb in front of the class, in front of the school door, and that like really scared me, because what if exploded and we all died?
Everybody would have died. The whole building would have collapsed.
Exactly. And during that war also, like, I lost my friends and classmates and uncles, so I didn't know if I'm going to be alive.
How did you lose your friends and people who you went to school? Did they get shot by the military? Were they just caught up in just wrong place at the wrong time?
Yeah, because like, you know, the place where people were protesting, it's like a common place where people just take the bus and go to a mall, go to other places. So she just was taking the bus, the transportation bus, and went there. And then there was random shooting was going on, and she was shot.
Oh, wow.
She was killed.
Oh, that's terrible. So you made it to Egypt. Who did you go to Egypt with?
I went with my sister and my aunt. And there was a lot of like neighbors and other people that they were also moving from Yemen to Egypt.
And what happened to your grandmother?
My grandma, she died in 2014, before the Arab Spring. So yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Like 2 months before the Arab Spring starts.
Right. So then you made it to Egypt with your aunt and your sister. How old is your sister at the time? She's older or younger?
She's 2 years younger than me, so by that time she was 15 years.
And how did you know to go to Egypt? And where did you live in Egypt? And what did you do in Egypt?
Many people, they flee to Egypt because there wasn't a visa system that time, and it was easy for them to go. And there was a lot of like the UN help and aid. They were like helping people that they arrived to Egypt, where like they give you a little bit money to start rent a house, and they give you that like food aid, and they do your process in case if you have some family in other countries and you want to go and reunite with them.
So
when we went there,
the United Nations assisted you and they set you up there. Is that basically it?
Yeah.
All right, that's good. And so what happened in Egypt? Tell us. I know what happened. There was another Arab Spring in Egypt, but tell me how that affected you as a refugee who's now escaping one revolution and making it into another.
That was horrible because I didn't know that there is going to be another revolution, and like just someone just escaped one revolution going to another one. Like it felt like, oh, do I look like the bad luck person where wherever I go trouble comes after me? So that was a scary moment for me and for my sister, and we had to stay in the house and we can't go out. But when I was doing my process for like coming to United States, I had to go to embassy, and there was random shooting and like the tear gas that like they were like throwing on the people who are protesting, and like literally we could feel it and our eyes were burned because of the tear gas.
But you had to make it to the embassy for your visa appointment.
Exactly. Right. I have to do the appointment, otherwise if it cancel or if I'm not on time, then they may deny the visa for us.
And your mom sponsored you. Is she a citizen now?
Yeah, she had been in the United States almost like over 19 years.
And had you seen her during this whole time, or you guys were separated this whole time?
We were separated. Like I saw her when I came to the United States.
So you don't remember? She left when you were a baby.
Yeah.
So you didn't really have a lot of memories other than the pictures that were left with you. So it was really almost like the first time when you came to the United States you met your mom.
Yes.
And what year was this?
It was 2014 December.
And what did it feel like when you got to the airport? Your mom, I assume, was waiting for you at the airport. What did you feel like before you met your mom, that I can't believe I'm actually going to meet her? Did you think about what are you going to say to her, or what happened? Was it natural? Was it planned?
I grew up at that time, so it's different than when a little child meet their mom for like first time. So it's kind of like, yay, finally, but also like I miss everyone back home and family and friends. So.
And what's your relationship with your mom now?
We are friends.
You're friends.
So. Yep.
Right. Good. And so you went to school in Minnesota, right?
I went to Wollaston International High School. So it's a school for all immigrants, refugee, and undocumented students. So it's basically recent American residents, as I could say. So we all like learn English as well in that school because everyone don't speak English. How
many different nationalities or people from different parts of the world or ethnicities did you meet in that school, do you think?
Like almost like there were like over 30 countries presented in that school, from China, from Russia, India, from like you could name it, from everywhere in the world.
And when the kids all got together, because these are all teenagers from all different parts of the world, did they stay amongst themselves? I mean, in other words, did you stay just with the girls and maybe the boys from Yemen, and the Russians stayed with the Russians and the Chinese stayed with the Chinese, or did you all come together?
Yeah, like our school, what I love about our school is like a great community place where everyone should learn how people should react with each other, because we all communicate with each other, we all like meet each other, and like when you see people like sitting together, it's like a really diverse people. We are not like this group should stay together, and we had like zero bullying in our school because like people are like communicating with everyone. And
I think also that people who came from all over the world and eventually made it here, many refugees, there can't be any more bullying than where they came from. You know, because they were escaping. Exactly. They were escaping more than bullying. They were escaping for their lives.
Exactly.
I understand you're now at St. Catherine College, but I also understand you want to be a lawyer, and you're doing a lot of really good work and a lot of very good deeds for social injustice, for immigrants' rights. How did that all come about?
So right now I'm a sophomore at St. Catherine University. I'm studying political science and international relations, and also I am studying this major because I have an interest of going to law school and help many people like me. So recently I'm working as an advocate for immigrants and refugee and ambassador for the youth. So I'm making sure that our voice is heard, our story is told by us rather than the media telling it and framing it the way they want. So I really wanted to present there that, hey, this is us. We are like part of the community. We are human like you, and we are not dangerous like how the media is presenting us. And we have fled war just to be in a peaceful place. We are not here to make horrible things. We literally like lived a horrible life, and people just should understand that, like, the story behind who are those immigrants, why they're immigrated to the United States.
I think what you're doing is so extraordinarily important. I've been saying for 20 years that every time I, meet people who are more anti-immigrant than pro-immigrant, who are more, more xenophobic, have fears of people from other countries, maybe even racist, they'll always say, kick all the immigrants out except these three people who work for me, who are my friends, who are my neighbors. I know them. They're very good people. I want them to stay. So the more that people get to know and meet individuals from all different parts of the world, that really breaks down the stereotypes and the fear that you see in the media. So I think what you're doing is extraordinarily important. Now, you started a soccer team. Tell me about this soccer team that you started.
So, like, I love playing soccer, and I started in multiple places. I started in my high school at the beginning, and I started second at the college itself. And it's an intramural soccer where it's not just come and we're gonna play soccer in competitive. It's mostly like we are playing as a community, where we are creating that space for everyone that they really love the sport, or they didn't feel encouraged, or they really don't know how to play soccer and they really want to try this sport. And I always see soccer as not just like a sport, it's also a place where we could bring community and joy and happiness.
So when you came to America, you didn't speak any English?
No.
Nothing. How long did it take you to learn English?
With my high school, like, they had really like good programs, so, and like with that program I learned a lot, and it took me about a year and a half, and I'm still struggling to today.
No, I think your English is very good. And when you were going from Yemen to Egypt, did you go to school in Egypt, or you were kind of stuck in the house? Were they educating you in Egypt?
In Egypt, they have this system. If you are like not citizen, it's hard to get in the public school. So most people either they pay for private school or wait until they have been registered. And I had to wait for 2 years without no school, but it's still like, and I had to wait my visa process to come. So I didn't go to school in Egypt.
So for 2 years you had no education. How did you catch up when you got to America?
Like, I started the first week. That's how my reaction was when I came to United States. I was like, oh, I can't wait no more. I need to be in the school. I need to be done from high school and go to college and be educated and finish my education.
So when you came, not only did you have to catch up for 2 years of lost schooling, I understand you joined all sorts of organizations and internships. You're really driven. Tell us about some of the organizations that you've joined and what that's taught you and where you want to go from there.
So I'm like part of the Green Card Voices organization. They're a non-profit organization, and they work with like telling the stories of immigrants and refugees, and they're really active in the community. And I am a co-author in a Green Card Voices Minneapolis Stories book. So it's a book there is a story of my classmate from our high school, and I'm also in other many organizations. Beside the Green Card Voices, I'm an active member in the community, so I meet other people who are interested in like social change and social justice. So
now I guess as part of being part of this group and fighting for social justice, you had in 2016 met Malala, Tell us how that happened, and maybe for some people, you know, the few people who don't know who she is, tell us who she is.
Malala, she's a Nobel Peace Prize, the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner, and she's a Pakistani. I don't know if you hear the story of like a Pakistani student that was shot by the Taliban, and it was a miracle that she was alive after like being shot in the head.
Because
And
they didn't
she's
want her to
really-
go to school.
Yeah, and she's really an active member. Before even like coming to the UK, in her hometown, she was fighting for girls' education and making sure that girls going to school. And just meeting a person like her is like a pleasure for me and an honor to be part of her mission of educating women and girls around the world.
So how did it come about that you met her, and then if you could just follow that up with, what did you talk about with her?
I talked about my experience of like fleeing Yemen to Egypt and not going to school and coming here and still struggling with English, because we have also to go through a lot of system, and most people they don't end up in college. And I really wanted to make sure that recent refugees that they came to United States also finishing their education and go to college.
And if there's one thing that you learned from her that you take inside of you every day when you get up and you fight for refugees, you fight for immigrant rights, tell me the most important thing that she stood for or that she taught you that you take with you on a daily basis.
Rising, like the one word that she really like said and it's like in my mind was like speaking up and raising your voice when even if there is a danger around you. This is like very important, because if we're gonna be scared and not speaking up on justice, then we will never achieve. So I really like taking that power from her for speaking up and raising my voice and talking on issues that matter for me and for my community.
So I'm going to let you take that thought right now, and I'm going to let you raise your voice right now. Tell us what you think about Trump's immigration policies. Why is it right? Why is it wrong?
They are wrong if it's gonna impact minorities, because if it's gonna be a win policy for just a certain race, certain group, certain like ethnicity, then that's gonna affect all the minorities in the United States. And we really like in the United States we have this great community that we all should come together and not just look as like who's the group that we should benefit. And I would like President Donald Trump to meet an immigrants and refugee before like starting sending policies, or also a DACA students before like starting doing like policies on DACA, because they need to listen to these stories and have first-hand stories rather than just looking at how the media is presenting people.
Well, I want you to know you have like such an unbelievable future ahead of you. Look, I'm just thinking about in my own head, listening to your story, everything you've done and accomplished, coming to America, not being able to speak a word of English, escaping 2 wars in 4 years. Look at what you have already done and accomplished. It's really, really amazing. And I would say to Donald Trump, we want more of you, not less of you. And and I'll ask you one last question. You've only been here 4 years, and maybe you don't know what it is yet, but in 20 years from now, I have a magic wand in my hand, and I wave it and give it to you. 20 years, what's your American dream? Where do you want to be?
My American dream, I'm a big believer of the youth and the new generation, and we saw it in the media when it comes to March for Our Lives. And those are the generation that they're gonna make America how it was and much better, with creating a community where everyone is belonging, and not just belonging, and creating a community of networking and connection between each other with love and joy rather than judging each other. So I would love to see America being that country where everyone is loving each other, because we all from all different countries and beliefs.
Now, we were just looking at a picture. What is this big picture of a group that you're in? What is this group that we're looking at here?
So this is a middle school, third grade school I went to, and I talked to, they're fifth grade, sorry. So I talked to like middle school students, and I was just telling them how it's important to meet other people and value the differences between each other, and to understand other people's stories, especially that they're gonna interact with people who just came to United States, or when they grow up and go to high school, just valuing the differences between each other. It's very important for me to talk to young people and tell them that how this is important to understand other people's culture.
And this is all part of your organization called Green Card Voices. Where do we find out more about it if somebody wants to look up more about this or find out more about your organization?
You could Google it on like Google, and you're gonna find it, the Green Card Voices, and it's a website where there is a lot of videos about immigration story that is open for people and free, that they could watch those videos about why immigrants came here and what they want to achieve and the experience of immigration. And also there is 3 books also for youth books, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Fargo. So they will find a lot of information, and we do a lot of community events that people could come and listen from first hand and ask questions and interact with immigrants and refugees.
Well, it's a fabulous organization. It sounds like you're doing an amazing job. I want you to know I am so impressed in what you have done in 4 years. You've done more in 4 years than many people who are born in America in a lifetime. So congratulations to you. Your future is extraordinarily bright. Thank you for coming on our show, Zaynab Abdi, my apologies. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.